Against the Ropes podcast.
Contra las cuerdas.
Against the Ropes podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. AtR podcast. Back for another live show. We are undisputed, Chris. Just like the newly crowned undisputed champion at 175. We must talk about it. We got to talk Nakatani. We also got Tszyu coming up soon. So we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, Gio, and thanks again to everybody that's trickling in. Like you said, it's the undisputed episode. I think we purposely did not, text or message Gio because I wanted to save it all for this episode, man. Sometimes as friends we like to chat and get things going, but I was like, you know what, let me keep this to myself because, man, we're gonna have an episode, boy.
Yeah, we got some comments already by Jesus checking in. We'll save it. We'll read them in a bit, but let's go ahead and begin with some action that we had. What was it, Tuesday morning or Monday morning? I think it was Monday morning, right? Junto Nakatani, who still undefeated. Interesting opponent, you can say. I know Chris, you saw how many fights the guy had. Let me go ahead and pull it up for you guys, because this guy, I don't even know what his name is, man. He had a different name on ESPN. He had a different name on BoxRec. He's now 76-2 with this defeat to Nakatani. He had 53 KOs. He's only 30 years old, and he already has 78 fights. If you see it there, he got stopped in the 6th by Nakatani. Dominance once again by Nakatani. This guy on ESPN, they had him as Chip Patana, I believe. He's also known as Petch CP Freshmart. I think he had a name of a sponsor. I don't know what his name is, Chris. I just know he had a ton of fights, and Nakatani demolished him.
Yeah, like you mentioned, that many fights, those double digits. This was one of those fights. Obviously, Nakatani's fighting, but it goes a little bit under the radar because it's so early in the week. It's over there in Japan. So yeah, the only thing you want to see is did Nakatani get the job done? And he did. And he keeps, that aura going, that undefeated streak, knockout. That's what you want to see. That's something you want from a guy that could be a potential opponent for anyway. But yeah, man, like you said, it was all Nakatani. Again, when you see that padded record of that guy, when you think of that many fights, you think of guys like Canelo that just have been padding their records and a lot of experience. So for him to get him out the way he did, it just shows how good he is.
Yeah, and Nakatani, interesting enough, third fight this year. He fought in February, he fought in July, and now fighting in October. And as you said, things now get interesting because, if you look at in or around his division. Look, one division up is Naoya Inoue. One division down is Jesse Bam Rodriguez. So, obviously Nakatani, he's the man at 118 right now. You see the other champions, Nishida and Takei. Obviously, if you go up one division, it's Naoya Inoue and basically Naoya Inoue, and that's it. If you go one division down, there's some more names there, but of course, the man is Jesse Bam Rodriguez. So, we'll wait and see. Of course, everyone wants to wait and see what Nakatani is going to do. Is anyone going to come up to his division? I believe Estrada is going up to 118, right? He did not want the rematch with Bam Rodriguez. Not sure if that fight will happen. Estrada usually fights on the zone. But yeah, I think it's time for Nakatani to get one of those big fights. As you see there, Nakatani is still undefeated, 29-0, 22 KOs, 26 years old, man. This man is in his prime. He's got boxing ability. He has power. He's dominating right now, and you gotta say he's one of the top pound for pound fighters in the world at the moment, until someone proves us otherwise, man. We know that Japanese market is huge. Maybe a lot of people on this side of the planet don't know him as much, but he's fought on a lot of those top ranked cards. So here in the States. So yeah, very intrigued to see what's next for him.
Like you said, Joey, he's a great talent, a little bit under the radar for people that don't follow boxing. And even if you do follow boxing, you're like Nakatani who? Nakatani, the guy that got that knockout of the year. Okay, you're kind of getting going on him. But yeah, Nakatani, in my opinion, like cracks the top 10. I think he's done enough, and like I said, still under the radar. But you mentioned it, Gio. He's in between Bam Rodriguez and Naoya Inoue. If you told me he's like in the eye of the storm, he's right in the middle. You go south, you go north, you're gonna fight some monsters. But hey, he's a hurricane himself, so this guy could give problems to those two guys. And again, this is a very interesting time for the lower divisions, Gio. And man, we're a little spoiled, man. We got some talent brewing down there.
1000%. And I don't have much on this, man. Look, as we said, he fought a guy with a ton of fights. Man, just looking at the guy's box rec, Chris, I mean, very interesting here. Let's go ahead and click on it. You notice a different name here than what you saw on ESPN. But look, let's just go way to the beginning of his career. He fought basically every month. And he made his pro debut in March of 2011. All right. He fought 9 times, I believe. He fought in March. He fought in April, May, June, July, August. Took 1 month off, and then he fought in October and November and December. So I think that's about 9 fights. Man, what this guy has so many fights. You don't see this in today's boxing. At only 30 years old, 78 fights, but obviously his opponents not at the level of Nakatani. You see a lot of guys, look here, making their pro debuts, guys with 0 wins, couple losses. So suspect resume there. Look, 2022, as recent as 2022, he fought a guy with 0 wins, 3 losses, and 1 draw. As recent as last year, he fought a guy making his pro debut. So yeah, not sure who his matchmaker is. Look here, 0-6 last year as well. Not sure who his manager or matchmaker is, but what I do know is they keep him active. I'm sure he makes a decent amount of money. He stays busy, fights a lot of fights, but he was no match for Nakatani.
Yeah, like you said, man, his management team is eating good, man. This kid's fighting. Oh, he's a throwback fighter, man. These guys only fight like twice a year. I was looking at some of our predictions, Gio, and I was like, man, some of these guys are fighting 3 times a year. I think Jaime Monquez got 3 fights in there. I'm like, okay. But man, this guy just blows them out of the park. So I mean, his management team, they're keeping that boy busy. And hey, I can only imagine. I don't think he's getting paid huge amounts of money.
No.
I think he likes that consistency. But yeah, like you said, very, very interesting fighter. He comes into this fight with Nakatani with like 6, 7 straight wins, man. I'm sure he's got more down there. Only 2 defeats, but yeah, what an interesting character, man.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like you said, I'm sure he doesn't get paid a ton of money, but it adds up, man. I mean, this guy's fighting 5 to 10 times a year. I'm sure he makes a good living, but hey, hopefully he got the big bag for this fight against Nakatani. But it was just destructive by one of the top 10, top 15 for sure. Nakatani, I agree with you. I think he's in my top 10 pound for pound. But yeah, I think we need some big fights from Nakatani coming soon. He's 26 years old, so I think it's that time. And like we said, southpaw, he can box, he can punch. That devastating one against Maloney was the one that you mentioned earlier. KO of the year for a lot of people. So can't wait to see what's next. We're going to go ahead and get straight into the big fight in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I actually like the atmosphere. I liked everything that they had going on. We'll get into that. Big shout out to Big Turkey. The most famous name on our podcast in 2024, it seems like. We talk about him all the time, every week. But, of course, Beterbiev, Bivol, undisputed, 175 pounds. You guys see the scorecards there on your screens. One judge had it a draw, 114, 114. The other two had it 115, 113 for Beterbiev, and 116, 112 for Beterbiev. Now, Chris, I'm sure there's a lot to unpack here. We predicted that Beterbiev was going to win by KO. He didn't get the stoppage for the first time in his career. If you look at his record here now, it looks a little odd. 21 wins, 20 KOs, right? The man who basically has stopped everyone in his career. He was only champion with a 100% KO ratio. The biggest puncher in boxing today, in my opinion. 39-year-old AtR Beterbiev, representing Canada, according to ESPN, right? But the Russian Beterbiev defeats the Russian Bivol. Chris, initial thoughts. Let's keep it under 1 minute. Just your initial thought as the fight transpired and when Beterbiev got his hand raised.
Now, first of all, great production value from Turkey. It was a great fight. I'm not gonna lie, I expected maybe more action, but it was definitely a chess match between both fighters. So it was of the highest level from both men. I thought Bivol fought a very smart fight. Very disciplined as expected. You have to respect the power that is Beterbiev, and Beterbiev did put the pressure on Bivol the whole way through. Man, it was a very good fight. I don't want to say great just because I expected an all-time classic, but it was a really good fight. And I'm gonna. Do you want to know who I thought won the fight, Gio, or do you want to say that for a little bit later?
Let's go for it. Jesus says Beterbiev 117, 111. He says no controversy, no draw, robbery, no draw. Did you have it this wide? Because I sure didn't.
Oh no, I did not have it wide at all. I had a competitive. Could have gone either way, but I saw one outright winner. And the first time I saw the fight, because I was getting glimpses, because my attention was taken away because I was at work, but I was still trying to watch it. When I shout out to Turkey because I was able to see this fight a couple times, Gio, I judged every single round after I saw this fight, Gio, and I had Bivol winning this fight, bro. I had Bivol winning this fight. I thought he looked, respecting the power, but I had Bivol winning this fight. I thought he won the majority of the early rounds. The middle rounds were, a give and take between both fighters. You could give up a majority of those to Beterbiev. And then I saw Bivol winning, a lot of the later rounds just based on boxing ability. So I don't want to say robbery, because a robbery goes when one fighter is completely outclassing the other and they give it to the other guy. This one was a competitive fight, but I like Bivol's boxing in there, Gio.
Wow. I'm very surprised. My initial thoughts when that last bell ended, I thought it could have gone either way. When I heard 116, 112, I'm like, oh, they're going to give it to the quote unquote A side, right? Turkey's boy, Bivol, right? And Eddie's boy. I was very surprised that the judges did the right thing, Chris. I think the right man won. I don't think this one was very difficult to score. I watched it again. I think, if you look at the final punch stats, obviously punches thrown, that's hard to get wrong, right? Punches landed is the one that's easy to get wrong. Is just someone's pressing a button. They're not 100% sure if a punch landed or not. But if you just look at punches landed, thrown, Beterbiev threw about 260 more punches. I mean, in a championship fight, when you're fighting a 39-year-old, I think that is inexcusable for Bivol, especially considering that Beterbiev was landing more power punches. So to me, I think Bivol hurt himself. And we'll get into specifics. I watched the fight today again. Today, I thought it was a little bit closer than when I first watched it live. I still think Beterbiev won. A draw wouldn't have been crazy. But I think it's a lot harder to have an argument for Bivol winning the fight than for Beterbiev. So I'm very curious as to, obviously you touched on some things, but what do you think won the fight for Bivol? Because for Beterbiev, I can tell you straight up, he was the only guy in this fight who was able to hurt the other guy, right? They pretty much landed the same amount of punches, but there is a difference in punches, right? Obviously, Bivol trying to pepper Beterbiev with those quote-unquote soft ones. Obviously, they're always going to hurt, but, Beterbiev just landing on Bivol's punches was pushing him back, right?
Yeah.
And Beterbiev, to me, landed the more effective / powerful punches. He was busier throughout the whole fight. I think that counts. I think for whatever reason now people are trying to say that doesn't count. When you're Bivol and you go 30 seconds to a minute without throwing a punch in a round, there's no way you're winning that round. So I think he did that in many rounds. We can get into specifics. As I said, I can point out the specific rounds. I think his inactivity hurt him. I think it was great boxing. I think Bivol fought the perfect fight to survive against Beterbiev. I don't think that he fought the perfect fight to win.
Yeah, no, again, the first time, because I was seeing the fight like off my peripheral the first time, so I live, and my first peripheral was like, people does not look comfortable in there. Beterbiev looks like the ring general. So initially, when I first, was seeing glimpses of the fight, it felt like, okay, Beterbiev must be breaking him down. He looks like he looks more comfortable in there. When I was finally, able, what, I'm gonna watch this fight again, and I've seen this fight twice already, Gio. The first time I saw it, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna watch this fight, gonna score round by round, because we know, Gio, when you watch the fight the first time, you're kind of just enjoying it. You're enjoying the fight. You're kind of saying like, oh, this guy's winning. He's putting on the pressure. He's being the ring general. That's how you see it the first time. When you see it again and you're trying to judge round by round, like that's where I started seeing a difference. I saw Bivol just being more accurate. You're right. Beterbiev was the aggressor. He was putting on the pressure. He was throwing more punches. Not everything landing cleanly, and again, it becomes subjective. What do you like more, the clean punches or the aggressiveness? So I do give you that point that Beterbiev was being the aggressor. For me, just kind of judging round by round, especially the first rounds were easy to see who won, and we predicted that Bivol boxing early on was going to win him the majority of the rounds, and that's exactly what happened. I expected Beterbiev to kind of take over, and yes, we have to check our biases, because sometimes you're like, okay, Beterbiev doesn't have to knock him out to win. Is he winning the majority of the rounds? And I didn't see him win them as convincingly as as you would think he would have to win. So a lot of those middle rounds, yeah, they were very tight. Between mostly going to Beterbiev because he got his engine going better. But towards the 7, 8, 9, I felt there was a lot of good boxing on Bivol's part. Again, even though he was getting, on volume, it was Beterbiev, it was him with the accuracy. So I saw more of that throughout the fight. But Of course, we know that at the end of that fight, Bivol looked more touched up. His face obviously more weathered. You got a big power puncher in front of you, and the punches that you do land are clean. They're not going to do as noticeable damage on the face of a Beterbiev.
Yeah, so let's go not necessarily round by round, but I think there was 3 important parts in this fight. All right, let's just go by quarters. You can say the first 4 rounds, yeah, it was mostly all Bivol outboxing Beterbiev taking his time. He's not a fast starter. We knew what Bivol was going to do. It was going to be volume punching. There was not going to be much power coming from his side. Now, I saw some comments on the live chat. I got to call you guys out for those who said last week that Bivol would stop Beterbiev. I told you, and some of you got offended. You don't watch boxing. Because there's to me, there is damn near 0% chance of that happening. I mean, and we saw the fight. There's the difference in power was just very evident, and it wasn't even close. Nerd says Beterbiev is just a better fighter. He's a freak of nature, right? And I think a lot of that has to do with power. I think both men could have fought better. They both said they don't think they fought that great of a fight. Both of them said it. You know, both of them very humble. Both of them are very professional, very ambitious, and you could tell they both weren't happy with their performance. You know, to me, they had a similar performance. The difference was power. You know, and when we kept saying last week, Chris, that Beterbiev is a very good boxer, and people were not giving him credit for it, hopefully they give him credit now. Because, yeah, Bivol had his great moments in this fight, but over the totality of the 12 rounds, to me, he did not look like the better boxer. You know, to me, boxing-wise, it was going to be a 50-50 fight. And the difference was going to be that power. I think it turned out to be just that. Now, first 3-4 rounds, you could have probably scored a 3-1 for Bivol, right? If you would have scored a 2-2, maybe not mad at that. You know, I think the quote unquote dominant rounds for Bivol weren't very dominant. And on the other hand, the dominant rounds for Beterbiev were very dominant, where Bivol was against the ropes. You know, the only time that Beterbiev was really against the ropes was when he got caught in the 7th. You mentioned the 7th, right? Bivol had a damn near perfect 2 minutes in that round 7. He landed some good combos on Beterbiev, backed him up, and Beterbiev countered him. It seemed like he hurt Bivol, and then Bivol didn't throw a punch for the whole last minute of that round. Now, when I watched the replay, the zone scored that round for Bivol, right? Not sure how you can score for him if he didn't throw a round. He didn't throw a punch for a whole minute, and he seemed hurt. You know, and that happened maybe 3 other times in this fight. And I think Bivol hurt himself from that, you know, because he was supposed to be the guy who had more in the tank. And it didn't turn out to be that. You know, Beterbiev, to me, finished off the fight stronger at 39 years old. He looked like he could have got another 5-10 rounds, and Bivol just looked tired. But going back to the first 3-4 rounds, it was all Bivol. However, you know, halfway through the fight, I had it almost even, you know, and it was crazy because Bivol wasn't the underdog, you know, but I think once they saw the first few rounds, people were treating him like the underdog. Like, oh, just because he's not getting knocked out doesn't mean he's winning the rounds. You know, these are even rounds. I think halfway through the fight, I had it even. And then that's when Bivol had the good 7th round, gets caught, doesn't throw a punch for the last minute. To me, that was a clear Beterbiev round. Through this first 7 rounds, you know, because a lot of people say, you know, the first half of the fight was all Bivol. Through the first 7 rounds, Beterbiev was 36 landed out of 149. Those are the stats that they put on the screen. All right, again, you got to take these with a grain of salt because punches landed. It's never going to be 100% accurate. 36 of 149. Bivol 41 of 82, right? So Bivol by that point had only landed 5 punches more, give or take, and he had thrown about 60. I can't even do the math right. 67 less punches. So I think that tells us a lot of the story. The activity of Beterbiev throughout the fight. Bivol seemingly winning a lot of rounds, but if you look at the punch stats, they were pretty even all around. I think after that, I think the last 3 rounds or so, I think Beterbiev just closed it off. He was stronger. He was able to get to Bivol little by little. Never really hurt him, so you got to give Bivol a lot of credit. But yeah, that's just what I saw. I think Beterbiev never took a step back. He was landing the more powerful punches, and Bivol, to me, I think he overachieved in this fight. I thought he was going to get stopped. I didn't think he was going to be able to keep Beterbiev away from him. But like I said, I think Bivol had the perfect game plan to go 12 rounds, but not necessarily to win because, what Anthony Sims Jr. told us during his interview, he said, man, it's going to take a lot out of Beterbiev to try to catch Bivol, right? Because Bivol's going to be moving. He's going to be moving throughout the whole fight. It also took a lot out of Bivol because Bivol wasn't sitting on any of his punches. He was moving too much. But I think if he would have stood there toe-to-toe a little bit more, I think he would have got hurt. Iceman says, I think it was a draw. I don't think a draw is a crazy scorecard. I can see that, especially if you gave a lot of those rounds that were, I would say, closer, where Bivol was winning maybe 2 minutes out of the 3, and then he gets caught and then basically runs the rest of the round. If you give some of those rounds to Bivol, I can see how some people had it a draw or even had him winning. But yeah, I don't think Beterbiev lost this fight. If you want to say draw, I'm happy with that. I just don't think Bivol did enough to win it.
So Gio, what was your scorecard again? Did you have it 7-5, 8-4? What was your final round to ratio?
Either 7-5 or 6-6. I think 8-4. It's just a little more. It's a little wide. I don't think it's crazy though. 116, 112. When I first saw it live, I'm like, yeah, that didn't happen. When I watched the replay, it's only one more round, Chris. Out of those close rounds, if you just give one more round to Beterbiev, then that's where you get the 8-4. So people yelling robbery. It's like maybe you've never seen a robbery before. Maybe you've never seen Colbert versus Valenzuela. Maybe you've never seen Chavez versus Whitaker. Maybe you've never seen Mayweather versus Castillo. Because those are robberies. This was a close fight where one round could have made the difference.
Yeah. Now, first of all, like I had to fight 7-5 for Bivol, and that's me, trying to be as impartial, trying to be as round by round to the, that's me being that. If I wanted to stretch it, I could be like, I think we both boxed them enough to steal a round or to win a round, and then I would have it 8-4. But 7-5 for me feels right. I'm the same way. I wouldn't be mad at a draw, but that's because I favored the boxing in this fight. And again, it becomes subjective. I can clearly see how people might favor Beterbiev based on the volume. If you're rewarding the guy that's taking the fight to somebody, putting out punches, and that's the way some of the judges, in my opinion, judge that fight. And we must remember when you see the fight in person, it's a little different than when you see it on TV. In person, people are definitely gonna, support the aggressor. You don't always see every single punch landing or not, but you just love the aggressive nature. When I was at the Bivol Cruz fight, I was favoring Bivol Cruz. I was like, from my vantage point, I was like, this guy's taking the fight. I can see him winning some of the rounds, but when I thought on TV, I was like, All right, I guess Valenzuela was a boxing game doing what he needed to do. Like I see the punches landing more for Valenzuela, so my mind changed. So me just seeing this on TV and seeing it like run it back a second time and a third time, I just favor the boxing style of Bivol. Again, he didn't look the most comfortable in there. Who does? Who's gonna feel comfortable in there with the Beterbiev? But just round by round, I felt like he did more to win him, to seal him. I agree. The rounds that he did lose, he got bullied, straight up bullied. But again, it's the 3 rounds at the beginning, the 4 rounds at the beginning are just they count the same as the last 4 in the championship rounds. I know people remember the last ones more, but they count all the same. And so again, I wouldn't be mad at a 7-5 for Bivol. I wouldn't be mad at a 7-5 for Beterbiev. But when it's very stretched, like 116 to 112, 117, those are the ones that are like that's a little too much. But I I, I think we got to run it back. And who do you think is favored in the rematch if they run it back right away?
I think the rematch is more 50-50 than what I considered before this fight. And I think that because Beterbiev is only getting older. As I said, I think if this fight would have happened at its original date of June 1st, I think Beterbiev, I don't think he would have had much trouble stopping Bivol. I know for some people it's a hot take, but for me it's not. I think we saw a Beterbiev who also was getting gassed, halfway through the fight. You saw his corner, waving the towels, you know, trying to keep him cool. He hadn't fought since January. It's not a whole lot of time off, but he did have to take some time off for the injury. Who knows if he was 100%? So, I think the more time that passes, advantage Bivol. I think this was the moment for him. I think he will be kicking himself when he watches the replay that he couldn't close out some of the rounds. As I said, I find it hard to believe that people were scoring rounds for him when he was literally going 30 seconds to a minute without throwing a punch and just backing away side to side on the ropes while Beterbiev is trying to stop him. But yeah, I think it's still a close fight if they fight again. However, I don't know if you heard the comments by Bivol after the fight. He had like a 20-minute interview or something where he was getting candid with some of the details. I like the honesty. I didn't like that he was saying this stuff considering that they might have a rematch.
Mm. I didn't see everything, but I did see some snippets. What exactly did he say, Joe?
All right, let me see if I can pull some of it up. Let me see if I can pull some of those clips up, and I can just play the audio for you guys. Let's begin with Roy Jones Jr. here. All right, this is what Roy had to say.
I didn't see everything, but about 25. Very fantasy fight that I thought could have gone either way, but what happens happens. However it goes, nobody won nor lost the fight by 4 points, so that's ridiculous. Which is why I say we need an immediate rematch. Both guys did a lot to change. Beterbiev showed me more than he's ever shown me before about being a boxer. He actually can box, and I was surprised. Bivol was a very good defender, which we knew. He was a good counterpuncher, which we knew. He jumped out to the early lead, I thought, but we never know. But however it comes down, Beterbiev did finish the fight strong or stronger. So that's why I think, in my point of view, the fight should be a draw, and let's get a rematch. You heard me? Yes. By the head. Yeah.
All right, so that's the last undisputed champion at 175, Roy Jones Jr., saying he thought it was a draw. So, look, it was a close fight. So people saying robbery, I don't know what the hell you guys are watching. I'm guessing that's a lot of people who hate Canelo, who are like overrating Bivol maybe. A lot of people who are voting for Bivol in the polls. Maybe it was a lot of the people who were saying Bivol was going to win by stoppage. I don't know, but to me, yelling robbery in a close fight that was close on the cards. It was a majority decision. You know, it's not like somebody scored it 118, 110 or whatever. Yeah, definitely wasn't a robbery. Iceman says exactly. Roy Jones Jr. He agrees with that. He was asking, why was the president of Chechnya in the ring with Beterbiev celebrating? I wasn't aware. I'm sure there was a lot of heavy hitters there. Every time Bivol got greedy, says Nerd, with combos, Beterbiev would respond and took his play away, didn't allow momentum to build. Yeah. This was definitely a hard fight for both fighters. Beterbiev looked frustrated and perplexed at times as well. Yeah, it was not an easy fight. You know, Beterbiev is definitely not used to this. Bivol is definitely not used to it either. You saw at the end, both men weren't very happy. Beterbiev didn't even raise his hand really after the fight, and it was interesting. We know both men are kind of quiet, humble, cold, but at the end of the fight, they didn't even hug, Chris. It was just like a quick fist bump, and they went to their corners and waited for the scorecard. So, as I said, this is their attitudes of champions. Bivol said, "I make no excuses." You know, he leaves that up to the judges. He said he wasn't very happy. He could have done more. You know, but yeah, let me see if I can find his other, because he talked about Canelo's power compared to Beterbiev, and he talked about the damage that Beterbiev was able to do on him. Did you hear any of those clips?
Yeah, I heard a little bit about that. Again, first off, let me just say a props to Bivol for being classy in defeat. He didn't make no excuses. I know in that moment, if he felt like he was a deserved winner, you know, it's easy for you to say like I felt I won, and you know he took the high road, said you know what, no excuses, da da da. You know, gave props to his opponent. So that's classy in itself. Uh, for me, and I know that you're gonna say like yeah, like these guys they're not gonna be emotional after the fight. You know, they're not gonna be screaming like you know I won or get overexcited. They're Russian, they're Eastern fighters. They're very stoic like that, but it was a little telling for me. If I'm used to seeing if a fighter wins, he raises his hand right away, and I didn't see that from Beterbiev aside from Bivol more. So that also kind of gave me like, come on, like these guys, they're not gonna lie to themselves. You know, the body language there is telling. So again, that's why I still feel like Bivol won 7-5. Again, love to see a running back. I will say, Joe, I feel like Beterbiev was not 100%. I feel like he was like 90%, 85%, and that's another reason why I feel like Bivol won. I feel like he did just enough, in my opinion, to steal the rounds, to win more rounds than Beterbiev. I feel if Beterbiev was 100%, he would have unleashed more damage. He would have, you know, found an opening. Sure, he was you know tagging up Bivol, but not the destructive force that we're used to seeing. Again, when I checked my phone, I was like, I hope none of the boys tell me, you know, X person knocked out the expert fighter. When I saw the phone, no messages, I was like, okay, cool. This means like nobody got knocked out. That means they will win the distance. You know, that's a win in itself. That tells you that he fought a great fight to make it the distance. Again, nobody has ever gone the distance with Beterbiev. You know, again, it just shows, you know, that the game plan wasn't 100% effective by Beterbiev. He could have done enough to win in a lot of people, in your view, and many other people's views. But something just tells me this fight should have gone towards Bivol.
You still haven't said what that something is, Chris. And that tells me that you, like a lot of people, are struggling to explain why you think you won. Chris, you said, I mean, you've had many bad takes on this podcast, but this is up there. You said, "Oh, I don't think I think Bivol won because he put his hands up at the end of the fight." Bruh,
Exactly. It was more accurate.
Adrian Broner put his hands up after the fight against Pacquiao and told us that all the hood saw him winning, Chris. So I don't know where you get these bad takes from, but just because someone puts their hands up at the end of the fight doesn't mean that they actually believe they won.
Simple terms, he threw less punches but landed more of them. He was more accurate. And to me that made me want to give. If I there was 2 rounds here where I gave it a 10-10. You know that we don't shy away from those 10-10. There was 2 rounds where I was like, those 2 rounds were that close. I can't give it to either guy. So there was 2 rounds where it was 10-10. You know, if we break it down to round by round, I had it 6-4 with 2 10-10s, but 6-4 in favor of Bivol.
So you think he won the fight because he was more accurate?
More, yeah.
Okay, well, look, I'm going to bring this take back at some point because we got to be consistent, right? You know, if you wouldn't have flip-flopped on that Lara fight, I would have given you this take and I wouldn't have said anything. But you flip-flopped with Canelo against Lara. I think you said something similar because he threw less punches and was more effective. But to me, in the Lara case, you just can't win if you don't throw punches. I just don't see how people still argue that Lara won where he refused to throw punches. And I think in some cases, Bivol refused to throw punches too. You know, as I said, you can't go a whole minute without throwing a punch and expect to win a round.
No, I completely agree. I don't think I gave him that round. I was like, again, if you're if you're winning 2 minutes of a 3-minute round, but the last minute you just get bullied, and you know, I would give the person that bullied who stole the last minute of the round right there. If you inflict more damage at that point in that round, then you deserve to have that round.
I would, you know, I like accuracy. I don't think activity alone wins you fights. But in this case, you know, I think just the difference in punches was just so different. You know, with one guy, every time he landed, even if it was on the gloves, he was pushing the other guy back.
Yeah.
And every time the other guy landed on him, he just continued to walk through the shots. I think that's what the difference for me was in this fight, because both men, as I said, they pretty much landed the same number of punches, right? But all punches are not created equal, Chris. So that's why I strongly disagree in this case. Yeah, Bivol was accurate, but he did little to no damage on Beterbiev. Now, look, not talking boxing. Not talking boxing. If this was just a fight, it could be anywhere. It could be in the ring. It could be at the bar. It could be at the park. You know, who won this fight?
If it's a street fight, Beterbiev won that fight. If that fight was in the Olympics, Bivol would have won that fight.
There's only one correct answer, right? In that case. But I agree as well. If this is Olympic style boxing where you touch the other guy more than he touched you, then Bivol slightly won the fight. You know, but professional boxing isn't look judged like that. According to these stats, he landed only 4 more punches than Beterbiev, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm sure. Now, obviously, this is not an indicator of who won the fight, but I'm sure 100% of us would have rather been Beterbiev at the end of the fight, you know, than Bivol. But yeah, I just think Beterbiev was just more effective. You know, he didn't have to move as much as Bivol to cause damage on him. He just landed the better shots, you know, and if you don't agree with that, then why was Bivol bouncing back, and why was his face so bruised up at the end of the fight? You know, as I said, I don't think this was that difficult to score. I think the rounds for Beterbiev were clear, you know, and I do think a lot of the rounds that Bivol won were not as clear, you know. Yeah. But even with that being said, like I said, a draw would have been fair. I wouldn't have been mad at that. And I just find it very hard. If I had to argue that Bivol won this fight, I would struggle to come up with a good argument. Like, yeah, he boxed beautifully. Nobody's saying didn't. You know, he fought a beautiful fight. So did Beterbiev. So, you know, someone telling me he fought a great fight doesn't necessarily tell me that he won. But you think accuracy. I thought Beterbiev was accurate as well. So, big difference for me was the power and the damage that he caused on Bivol. At least to me.
Yeah, no, for sure. At the end of the day, I'd rather be Beterbiev, man, because again, like that power, if those hits were hitting me, even 20% of those of your 600 hits hit me, I'm having headaches all week. Of course, I'd rather be Beterbiev at the end of that fight. If you want to say who, in my opinion, who won the battle, I would say Bivol won the battle, but Beterbiev won the war when it comes to damage inflicted, based on the power that you mentioned. But if we were judges, I would have scored it for one way for Bivol, and you would have scored it for Beterbiev, and we would have needed a third person to decide this fight. So it was that competitive of a fight.
Yeah, and we're gonna get into that poll because we had a poll. Who did you guys have winning? You guys can go vote now if you haven't already. Is up on our community tab. I do just want to pull up this clip real quick by Bivol. I think this one he's talking about the power.
Like with the Canelo, yeah, he put all his energy, all his power on single punch. Yeah, and yeah, maybe single punch sometimes he's harder, Canelo, yeah, than Beterbiev, because Beterbiev didn't like, do like, yeah, Beterbiev was more like close and compact. Compact, tight guard. Yeah, but if you ask them, let's do like 5 punches, yeah, Beterbiev, every punch will be hard. With Canelo, maybe first hard and then not. Yeah. Both of them are strong, but Beterbiev is bigger and he born strong.
All right, so I was kind of shocked to hear that. He said some of Canelo's punches were even stronger, but let's see if I can find the clip. But the one I really wanted to find was when Bivol says, he shows his right hand on the interview. They pointed out, they say, "Oh, look, your right hand is sore," and he's like, "Yeah, it's from blocking all the punches." His right hand, his right fist was sore just from blocking punches from Beterbiev. And like I said, I love the honesty. I don't like that he said that, considering that there might be a rematch. Because now if I'm Beterbiev and I hear that, I'm like, oh, cool. I'll be content to just punch you on your hands, on your wrists, on your forearm, on your shoulder, knowing that it's hurting you. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, like you said, he was being honest and he was being candid. Usually I keep that kind of stuff to myself because I want to give myself the best possible chance in that rematch. So, certain things I would have kept to myself. But yeah, again, it's crazy. Like he said that about Canelo. Obviously, Beterbiev is a bigger guy. They're heavier hands. Not as fast. And I think speed has to do with power. I think that's what he was alluding to. That Canelo, his punches were, pound for pound, they're probably more effective because of that speed that he has. Beterbiev not the fastest guy, but he's got some heavy hands. So I think that's what he was alluding to. But yeah, I would keep that information to myself, man. I would not try to give anybody any type of advantage. As much as I want to vent and say what I want to say off my chest, I keep that kind of things to myself, because even though Bivol doesn't have the greatest of power, he had enough of a respectable power where Beterbiev was being disciplined in that fight as well. But yeah, man, again, I can't wait for this rematch. Again, I do think Beterbiev was not 100%, even though he looked good in there. He was volume punching. He was making Bivol fight a fight that he's not used to with that high guard. This is the first time, and the commentators mentioned it, where Bivol was not fighting the kind of fight that he fights against other opponents. He was showing a lot of discipline and respect towards Beterbiev. But yeah, man, and a 100% Beterbiev I think would have done more damage. So I can't say for sure he was not 100%, but I just get those sentiments that he was like 90%.
Yeah, I agree, and I kind of saw that in the first like 3-4 rounds, just because Beterbiev was very like tentative. I think to me maybe he was trying to test out his legs. He wasn't trying to do too much. He wasn't trying to do too much chasing, too much moving. Like some of the punches that he got caught with, he literally just put his hands up and took them. Because Bivol does throw combinations. So at least that's what. Obviously, we're not in his head, but to me, that's what it seemed like. Beterbiev was just trying to take his time, and as the fight went on, probably hope that, Bivol's movement slows down. And, I think Beterbiev could have gone to the body a little more, but he did land some solid body punches that were able to stop Bivol's movement, at least momentarily. Now, look, if I'm Canelo and I hear, oh, you mean I can punch as hard as Beterbiev, that guy who knocked everyone out, who's 6 feet tall, that giant over there, I can punch as hard as him now. I'm confident as hell now. So I would have probably kept that to myself too. But Left Hook says, I think Canelo can beat Beterbiev. Wow, that's a hot take. And I heard somebody else say that too. I forgot who it was. I heard one of the I don't know if it was like a journalist or boxer. They said that too. And I'm like, man, I don't know. That's a strong man right there. We saw Canelo struggling against Kovalev, against Bivol. I think Beterbiev is even stronger than those guys. So, man, that's tough.
That's a hot take, but I feel like it's not far fetched. Like in a year or two, I think this is the first time that Beterbiev doesn't get a knockout. The 100% streak is over for now. So again, this just shows that at 39 years old, even though he's very dominant, and let's give him props, he is undisputed. Majority of those judges saw that, so you got to give this man his props. So he's undisputed, but he's beginning to show some chinks in that armor. So it wouldn't be too far fetched. I would say not right now, but year and a half, 2 years, if Beterbiev decides to hang on and push his luck into his 40s, not too far fetched. Right now, as of today, October 15th, 2024, I wouldn't get in there if I'm Canelo.
Yeah, no, I agree. He has to wait until he gets a little older, man. Stay away from him, says Big Bro. Beterbiev is too big for a goat Nello. He doesn't need those problems right now. Go into some more comments right here. Big Bro also says they're a different breed. Nerd says Bivol was able to push Canelo, Zurdo, Lind, and Arthur back with combos and usually outworks his opponents with flurries. He couldn't do that to Beterbiev.
Yeah.
What else do we have here? Beterbiev.
This was not a comfortable fight for Bivol. And again, who is nobody? All those the other guys, man, all those guys got knocked out. So it was never going to be a comfortable fight for Bivol. But yeah, man, I thought he fought much better than what we expected. We predicted that Bivol would be, victim number 21 and he'd be knocked out. So just the fact that he went the distance shows how good of a boxer he is. Again, showed great defense. In my opinion, Gio, there was never a moment where you felt like he was like, as hurt as he was when he fought Joe Smith Jr. So I expected that moment to come. I thought there was going to be a moment where a shot from Beterbiev was going to put him on noodle legs. It never happened. It just shows again, even with all that power that Beterbiev has, Bivol is a great boxer.
Yeah, another comment here. Left Hook says Canelo would be too slick for Beterbiev in the pocket. He thinks Canelo will win, man. I don't know. Look, I just know that, and there's something that not too many people talked about, but I think Bivol's style is tailor-made for Beterbiev. Like, he doesn't have much power, even though a lot of you think he does. I'm not sure why. He didn't get a KO in 6 years. And the KO that he just got was was against a late replacement. The guy had no business in there, being in there with Bivol. Being strong and having power, I think, is two different things. I just don't think he has the power to bother Beterbiev like that. He moves around a lot, and he's a great boxer, but he's not much of a counter puncher. Every time Beterbiev threw, Bivol did not throw back. He just went into that high guard and moved back or to the side. So I think this was tailor-made for Beterbiev. And I think, as you said, I think if he was healthier, if he was maybe 1 year younger, I think he would have stopped Bivol. But yeah, Canelo, Beterbiev, that's a little tougher, in my opinion.
Let me ask you this, Gio. Do you think Canelo gives Beterbiev a better fight or a worse fight than Bivol?
I think on offense, he would touch him up a little more. On defense, Canelo's not going to move around like that. So you probably get hit more. And that's where it becomes dangerous because there's a big, solid 175 who fought heavyweights in the amateurs. You know, Bivol, he struggled with Bivol's size, and Bivol's not even the biggest guy at 75. He could probably fight at 68. So on offense, yeah, I think Canelo will probably switch it up a little more, go to the body, probably fight more in the pocket, but he will get touched up more too. So probably about the same, maybe. That's what I think.
I think prior to these fights, I think many of us were like, "Hey, Canelo, you don't want none of those problems." And even though I just said like earlier, probably not, still no. I think this fight maybe makes Canelo go like, man, you know how Canelo is prideful. He's like, man, I can do better. I feel like he would be that type to be like, man, let me go challenge myself after this fight. I feel like he would be that type, and I not saying it's gonna happen, but I wouldn't be shocked after this fight. Like, man, Canelo must have seen something, something must have grown in him where like, yeah, that guy's big and you know he's strong, you know he's a beast, but I feel like somewhere down the line, I think Canelo would want to test himself. I wouldn't advise to it because of what you said. Beterbiev is just a full-fledged 175 with some power. Canelo has already tested those waters with Bivol, and even with a Bivol that doesn't have the highest of powers, he had to respect it. So this would be intriguing. But yeah, after this fight, I feel like Canelo would, you know, obviously there's the size disparity, but I think Canelo would put a good fight. Like you said, that counter is there, and Beterbiev's defense, in my opinion, is his offense. And if Canelo can find some openings in those exchanges, you never know, man. Never know.
One thing is Bivol doesn't move his head, or at least didn't do it in this fight. You know, he went into that high guard. Canelo is not going to do that. You know, he's going to be a little more slick in that regard. But it's just these guys are much bigger than Canelo, so that's dangerous territory. Talking about, you know, you mentioned the production. You mentioned, you know, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I actually liked the Undisputed belt, Chris. I don't know what you thought about it.
I didn't like it. I thought it was WWE.
Hey, if you get to take that home, that's literally the Undisputed belt. Like, you can say, look, I got the Undisputed belt. I was undisputed at 175. You know, nobody else really gets those, so.
Yeah.
I like the idea. The belt itself, I didn't care for it, but the idea, I thought it was pretty cool.
The idea is cool. I think the closest thing that we have to that is like the ring title, right?
Yeah.
The little yellow one that Rocky had in those movies. I like the idea of an undisputed title. I just didn't like the design. That's all. That's just my personal opinion. But no, it's awesome that Beterbiev gets to wear that again. It's a culmination of everything he's done in his career. Again, nobody has given us 100% knockout ratio. Just so for him to do that and to come up short with that, at least he's got his prize in undisputed. Something that no one has done since Roy Jones did in 1999. So I mean that's amazing. Again, I can't wait to see the rematch. I gotta ask you, Gio, did this one live up to the hype? Or where do you rate it 1 through 10?
One thing I was gonna say is you're just mad that belt isn't green, huh?
We like the green.
No, as far as hype, look, we were expecting a KO, right? But I thought it was a great tactical matchup. We watched it with a few guys here. Big Bro was here. This fight was entertaining. You know, I think the fact that Beterbiev can stop you with any punch, even when he doesn't load up, that's what made it super exciting. I was at the edge of my seat. Even when both men weren't punching, I was looking at the little things, how they moved, how they were trying to bait each other in. So I thought it was a great fight, a great boxing fight. Obviously, if you want to see violence, blood, this probably wasn't that. But to me, I thoroughly enjoyed it. To me, It's probably gonna be one of my candidates or fight of the year. I just think it's so rare that we get to watch the number one and number two guys in any division. You know, two to me, top five, top six pound for pound guys. You know, I think it's so rare to watch. So, man, I was super excited for it. I was super happy that it was happening, um, and I enjoyed it as a boxing fan. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Obviously, we could have got more knockdowns, maybe a knockout, but I'm not complaining. I'm just super happy that the best fought against the best. Maybe it wasn't as undisputed, you know, as we would have liked it to be, but maybe in a rematch we get a more conclusive decision. But I thoroughly enjoyed it.
You know, I agree. I think the only thing that was missing for me is just seeing a knockout or knockdown. I think that's the only reason that I'm like, oh, did it live complete to the hype? But I'm in consensus with you. We got two of the best. You know, when we get these matches, sometimes we just get, you know, two steel toes go head to head, and neither will budge. You know, I think of the Canelo versus Triple G, that first one. Again, we just got two guys head to head in equal powers and equal primes, and sometimes like two raging bulls, just they're not gonna give. So I'm not mad at it. At the end of the day, like you said, we got two very best heavyweights or light heavyweights going at it, and a huge shout out to Turkey, because a lot of these times these fights don't get made because of the money. Sometimes they price themselves out because they maybe don't really want to fight each other. So this was not the case. The money was put up. The money was not an issue. You would have to be dumb not to take this fight, this legacy fight, and the money and the opportunity. I did undisputed. So again, huge shout out to Turkey for making that happen. He's definitely changing the game, and we're the ones benefiting from it. So again, I can't wait to see the next 6 months, the year, of what happens. But yeah, man, we're lucky to have this guy that's making these kinds of fights for the fans.
Yeah, and look, we might get another A minus, A plus, perhaps year in boxing, Chris. This has been great so far. We already saw Fury Usyk once. We're gonna get it again. We saw this undisputed fight. So we saw Inoue, you know, obviously undisputed, defending his title. So it's been a great year in boxing so far. Turkey with a big hand on all of this, and we'll get into the production side, the concerts, all that stuff. But I do want to mention one thing before we move on, because, well, as soon as the fight ended, you know, I went to see what the people were saying, right? I wanted to see the comments. A lot of people were complaining, saying there was robbery. And I can show you guys some of the comments on our channel as well when I posted, you know, what are your thoughts on this fight? Man, look, nowadays you can't even believe what you watch on TV, Chris.
Mhm.
I feel like it's always been like that, but the media has a way of kind of manipulating things. And I'm glad that Bernardo Suna brought this up, because I watched it on ESPN Plus, the fight. At the end of one of the rounds, it might have been, man, I don't remember what it was, toward the end, you know, where Bivol had a great round and then got caught at the end. They were showing nothing but Bivol highlights. Maybe that kind of influenced people's decisions. But Bernardo said, "Hey, nobody asked him anything. He just said it out of nowhere. He said, "Hey, we don't control the replays. I just want to highlight that Beterbiev had a good flurry at the end of this round." You know, and that made me think, like, maybe that's why, you know, the commentary was, I think, pro Bivol. I think rightfully so, because, you know, a lot of people thought he was going to get stopped, and he was actually doing well. Like I said, I thought he was overachieving. But as we say in every fight, just because the underdog is surviving or winning some rounds, that doesn't mean that he's winning the whole fight, you know. But I just do want to highlight that, because I give Bernardo props for saying that, because all the highlights are essentially Bivol. And I think Paulie and Chris Algieri they might have had like a live reaction on their channel, because I saw a clip today on Instagram. And that's one of the comments that Paulie said out of everyone. He said, all the highlights are Bivol. Like, how'd they lose? Well, highlights win you fights now?
Yeah, again, I mean, first of all, yeah, I agree with you. When somebody calls out, you know, whether it's their employer or the person that hired them to do commentary, I always applaud them, because it's easy to you know, to say what they tell you because they're paying the check. So props to him for doing that. And again, I understand if they get highlights of the most eye-catching shots, which were Bivol's, that were the cleanest punches. But you gotta show the highlights of Beterbiev too, man. Again, boxing's already too corrupted as it is. Let's not add to that. If the other person had some good moments, show them too, man. Who are you fooling? Again, it's already enough that we have like these kinds of judges. You don't need to add to that. So hopefully they don't do that and they fix that for that rematch, which we're all expecting. But yeah, again, we can't add to the corruption of boxing. It's already tough enough.
Yeah, so don't do it, because Iceman's already on your ass, Chris. He says, especially on NBC. So, well, you got to be impartial, man. If they would have done it for the other side too, you got to speak up about it. And, people talk about corruption in boxing. Boxing is the most corrupt sport in the world, blah, blah, blah. I think every sport is corrupt. But, in boxing, the thing is that everything is corrupt. It's not just the judges. It's not just the referees. It's in the rankings. It's in the highlights. It's in the broadcast. Like, everything seems like it's corrupt. Like, just look at any ESPN top 10 pound for pound. Like, there's no way those aren't corrupt. Those are insane. And I always bring up this example. Teddy wants to talk about so much against corruption in boxing. Teddy Atlas. Look, go back a few years when he was training Vosdik, before he got stopped against Beterbiev. He had, in his top 10 pound for pound, he had Vosdik, who he trained. He had, I think, the Charlo brothers, which he was good friends with. He basically had his buddies and the people he trained top 10 pound for pound. So I don't believe those people when they talk against corruption, but they're part of the problem too.
Yeah, I know. Again, I know sometimes they pay the bills, but when you overly do it, when you overly saturate, you're gonna lose credibility, man. And just to touch back, I'm right now. I'm mad at Trump because I had to work that event and I got to miss my boxing match in real time, Gio. I don't care if it was Harris. If it was Harris who was out there and I had to cover her event and miss my boxing match, I'd be equally mad. So, we are equal opportunity haters right here, bro. We keep it even all the way through, man.
Anybody can get it. Shout out to AB. Hey, what do you think about Nerd says Teddy Atlas equals Joe Rogan? Big Bro says they choose what corruption or BS to call out. Yeah, man, just if you're like that, just don't be calling people out. That's my only issue. I don't care if Teddy's corrupt. I feel like all those guys are, because they all got to pay their bills. Just don't be talking against corruption. This guy throws these crazy rants and it's like, bro, shut up. You don't have any, what's the word I'm looking for? He's not credible. If he's part of it too, then he's not credible. But anyway, Jesus, number one pound for pound Beterbiev now, Chris. We had this conversation last week. Does winner get that number one pound for pound status? I told you guys, if Beterbiev wins, they're not going to give it to him. If Bivol wins, they would have gave it to him. That's just how the media works, right? There's more money on that side than on the Beterbiev side. But give me your thoughts. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, for me, it wasn't as convincing either way to push them unequivocally to the number one spot. You can make a case for the number one spot, but it was too competitive where you can't, in my opinion, you cannot fully push into the number one spot, in my opinion. If, let's say, Beterbiev would have knocked out Bivol, I would have been like, yup, that guy is the man. Bring on Usyk. That's the only guy that would give him a challenge. But again, it was very competitive. It could have gone either way. That because of that, I can't fully 100% get behind that number one pound ranking. But I do put them higher up since Beterbiev won the title undisputed. He makes a case for top four, in my opinion. And Bivol moves up. I don't think his stock fully drops.
Wow.
Yeah, but I think Usyk and Inouye's got a chokehold on that 1 and 2.
Okay, so who's your number one?
Usyk.
Okay,
Usyk.
why?
Top 5?
I said why.
Why? I think he distanced himself from that Fury fight in that first one. I think he
Okay,
had him hurt to the point where he almost knocked him out.
okay, let
And
me.
this was early in the fight where Fury. There was moments in the fight where Fury was. I was like, he's gonna tee off on Usyk. He's too big, too long. But Usyk was able to adapt and take it to the other best guy in that division. And he did this coming from cruiserweight. He did that to Joshua twice, and now he did it to the other giant. And you can't even bring in guys like Wilder in the conversation. He's way in the back. So for me, that's why he's number one. But in a way, he's right there, man. And yeah, these two guys are right in the back, right there outside that 3 to 5 spot.
Well, I don't know. My point is,
You think he deserves the winner deserves number one spot? What do you see them standing now?
well, I can't change my answer now. Last week I said yes, whoever was the winner, so I'm gonna stick to it. The winner is number one until Usyk Fury, until December. Now I'm gonna stay consistent. My point with that question was, I thought Fury Usyk was close. So if you're gonna use that argument against Beterbiev, why not use it against Usyk? But I mean, Usyk does have other great wins. Nurse says this fight was overdue. Great fight, but I feel like they're giving him too much credit when you have guys that have more accolades. I mean, name those guys. I don't know too many guys who have more accolades. And if you say Crawford, I'm turning this computer off right now, Chris. I'm just gonna turn this computer off, man. I'm leaving. I'm not playing.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like that you're staying consistent. You're getting Beterbiev his dues. And again, if you see him winning, then you see him winning. That's your objective opinion. Just because I don't see him winning doesn't mean shit. He's got the title on paper, so I'm not mad at that, Gio. To me, it's just he just joined the undisputed club. Usyk's been in it for a minute now, so that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah, like I said, I'm gonna stay consistent. I'm gonna say Beterbiev number one for now. Um, like I said, next week, contingent on what happens with Usyk Fury, and then contingent on what happens with Naoya Inoue, who was there at the fights. His brother fought on the undercard, lost his belt. Chris, he was there. Not to get away from this topic, we'll get back to it. Beterbiev Bivol, but Inoue was there as well as Canelo, right? And you heard the Canelo rumors of fighting in Japan. Hey, maybe this was a hint, wink, wink. Might be happening. Who knows? We'll see.
Oh, that's definitely it, Gio. I did not expect Canelo to be in Japan. What is a Mexican gonna do in Japan? Come on now, he's there for business. I think that he's still trying to make the most money available, and we talked about this. You know, the reason why Canelo and Turkey, the two faces of boxing, in my opinion, one the active boxer, the other one working behind the scenes. The only reason they're not working is because of the word respect. That's it. And we know that the Japanese people, the Japanese culture, that's something huge for them. And I'm sure that the talks and the money behind and Canelo respecting, what they're doing and to be challenging to Turkey and everything, he's taking that bag out there. And again, um, eventually, I do want Turkey and Canelo to work together, but you gotta respect Canelo for the man he is. He doesn't move for nobody. Um, if it makes money, it makes sense, but you gotta have the word respect attached to that. So can't wait to see what he does in December.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember Canelo working with Top Rank with Bob Arum.
Yeah, no, it's always been with Golden Boy. It's always been with Matchroom. Yeah, I don't think they've ever worked together, and so that's gonna be intriguing to see what happens there. I'm sure Bob Arum. I mean, he's got nothing but great things to say. Bob Arum has been with everybody from Ali to the great names. So he's got to respect a guy like Canelo. But yeah, I don't think they've ever worked together. If they did, it must have been early on.
Yeah, Bob Arum had all the greats. Ali, Mayweather, Oscar, Pacquiao. everyone. But I'm not sure if Canelo fights over there, he'll work directly with Bob Arum. But and it'll be interesting too to see who he would fight. If he fights in Japan, but let's get back into the fight in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. We talked about.
I did see that post on Instagram, and I tagged our board magician. I was like, "Hey, magician, you might have to lose a few pounds if Canelo doesn't want to fight you at 175." And he's all like, "Man, for the money, I'll do it." So, hey, if they overlook him and they think it's an easy fight, take that with the magician in December, Japan. Let's go.
Yeah, going back to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, I like the belt. What did you think about the whole concert, the atmosphere, um, everything else around it? Obviously, there were celebrities there. I thought it was a great place for the card, considering that both men, to begin with, don't really have the biggest fan bases. So it's not like when Joshua fights in Saudi Arabia, where people in the UK are like, "Man, we wanted to see him here," right? They're kind of getting left out because we saw what he did last fight out, 96,000 people at Wembley, right? Beterbiev and Bivol aren't putting 96,000 people in any city in the world. So I thought it was cool to do it in Saudi Arabia. Um, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like the spectacle. I miss a lot of the undercard fights, but when I tuned in, I think it was the heavyweight fight that ended in a crazy knockout, dislocated dude's jaw. And then we saw like Missy Elliott and Busta Rhymes and all this stuff. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but what do you think about all that? It's Riyadh season, so obviously they're trying to put a whole show together. Eminem was here in LA, you were there, but what do you think about this show specifically?
I thought that was awesome. Anytime you get Busta Rhymes, like I said, Missy Elliott, Sierra, they're obviously a little bit past their prime, but this production value had you thinking that they were in their prime. They had all the lights, they had the dancers, they had great setting, they had great music, fireworks in the beginning. Again, it almost felt like a Super Bowl halftime show. So there was no expense, that was keeped out. So again, it just you don't get these people, halfway around the world for pennies. They're not gonna get up for just anybody. So the fact that he's able to do that and make it look great, again, he made them look like they were in their prime back in the early 2000s, man. So again, I think it's awesome. It's great for people that are not into boxing. It brings that part of a demographic. So I thought it was great, man. I thought it was cool. It fills in time in between. So man, I'm all for it, man. Like you mentioned, the Eminem was at the Terrence Crawford Majumov fight, and again, who doesn't want to see legends like that? They're fans just like us. They do their music, they do their profession, but they like to also watch boxing, and who doesn't? The best sport ever, man. You don't play boxing, so I'm all for that. And if you could get you know some of the stars that are in their prime now for some of the younger artists, I'm all for that too, man. Bring some, you know what? Bring 52. Bring Jaro. Let them have a little reunion and have them fight. You know, after the fights, man. I'm down for that. I will pay a little bit more for that, Gio.
Yeah, I thought it was cool, and I think that Turkey just uploads the fights right away after on his channel. I think I mentioned this on the podcast before too. So if y'all ever miss the fights, those early fights in Europe or in Saudi Arabia, just tune into his channel. He'll post them right away. So I like that. I liked overall the whole show. I thought they invested a lot of money. They put it together. I think Bivol and Beterbiev both walk away with more fans. So I think overall, it was great for boxing. Now I'm gonna go ahead and clap back at Nerd, all right? Because when people have bad takes, I'm not gonna let you slide, all right? I know it's a little unfair because I have a mic and you don't, but feel free to give more bad takes on the live chat. He says Beterbiev averages one fight a year, been in the same weight class his whole career, yet now he is pound for pound number one because he beat Bivol. I don't know, do you want to take that one, Chris, or do you want me to clap at him?
I'll let you take that one.
I mean, nerd, please, I don't know what device you're using right now, computer or phone, but I can pull it up for you too, but I don't want to waste time on the show. Just go on his box rec. Let me know what you see on there. It's not that difficult. He also says Usyk separated himself in his undisputed clash by getting a knockout versus man that outweighed him by 40 pounds. What's he talking about? Inoue had cleared out 2 weight classes. Hell, Canelo has Hall of Fame in multiple weight classes. You're right, except for the Usyk part. I don't know what your point is, though.
I think he's trying to say that you had Beterbiev up too high. I think that's what he's trying to say.
Well, maybe he wasn't listening because I said it's going to change by December. So, hey, I keep the same energy. I'm consistent. If last week I said whoever wins will be number 1 pound for pound, I'm not going to go back on my word. Now, all those names are great. I think all those guys, that's my top 4. But the fact that you don't think Beterbiev should be up there, the fact that you believe that, I mean, maybe we should watch a Beterbiev fight together someday, nerd. One of his old fights, not his new ones, because he's probably retiring soon. But maybe you just don't know Beterbiev. I don't know. But that's your homework. Go on his box rec right now and tell me what you see.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for me, I wished Beterbiev was 30, 33, 34, 35 even. It's a little unfortunate that he's getting like these fights this late in the game, and a lot of fans feel people dunked him for this many years, waiting for him to age, and that might be true. That might be partially true. So it's unfortunate, but again, it just shows that even at 39, he's a great fighter. Even though he doesn't think he's a great boxer, or he doesn't even think he's above on his boxing skills, but he boxes great. He you make somebody like Bivol that uncomfortable, you're doing something right. Whether it's cutting off the ring, whether it's applying pressure, he's doing something in there that not even obviously Canelo, who's a smart fighter, could do. So yeah, man, Beterbiev deserves all his flowers right now. He's undisputed, and it's not an easy feat. Obviously, we know Gio that he's probably gonna end up vacating one of those belts just because these alphabet organizations they're ridiculous. But yeah, that undisputed moniker, once you have it, no, they can't take it away from you.
Maybe I need to help him out because he stopped replying. But let me tell you this. And in a lot of these fights where the number 2 versus number 1 guy fight, you rarely see one guy dismantle the other. Beterbiev did that 5 years ago. Go Google it. We don't see that very often. You mentioned Usyk. He couldn't do that to Fury. Canelo couldn't do that to Triple G. Arthur Beterbiev actually did that. So name another guy who's done that before. And yeah, Crawford did it, but Beterbiev did it to a healthy guy in his prime. So Beterbiev is a beast, but not pound for pound number 1. Didn't create separation. I mean, if not knocking out all your opponents, your whole career is not separation. Just look at the names that he knocked out. I'm not making this up. Don't believe me, man. Y'all shouldn't believe me. I don't know anything. Just go on BoxRec or something. YouTube.
Yeah, no, again, I think he's saying that he didn't create separation with the knockout over Bivol, but
no, don't help him out, Chris. He said what he said.
you can't discount everything else that he's done, man. The only 100% knockout ratio. So, I mean, just because I don't have him number 1, I'm not knocking Gio for doing it. That's his opinion, and I think Beterbiev is more than deserving. But again, like you said, Gio, things could change in December, and hey, things can really change if Tyson Fury walks away with a hand raise. So man, it's a great year for boxing, man. That's all I'm gonna say, man. We're all winners, the fans, man. We're all winners.
All right. Well, what else did you want to discuss? Because we still got to get to that Tszyu fight, Chris. That's Saturday on Amazon Prime. Any last thoughts? on this fight. I think I touched on everything that I wanted to touch on. I thought overall it was great. Um, I think the fight went a little different than how we thought it was going to turn out, but I'm glad we chose the correct winner. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up our predictions, Chris. It hasn't moved much. You still got the edge on me because of I think I blame myself for picking Rolly over fucking Pitbull Cruz, man. But that was just my biased take. I'm not voting for Pitbull Cruz for anything, you know. And then obviously that Dubois one over Joshua also killed me. So you're up ahead by 1 win. You got 21 dubs. I only got 20. We got this one right. However, we didn't get the knockout on this one.
We didn't get the knockout, man. We decided to go the distance, dog. It can't always be a knockout. Sometimes the knockout doesn't come, But yeah, man. Again, I can't wait for the remaining of these fights. I think I'm gonna take some chances. I'm gonna let them hands go. Been playing it kind of safe, so I think since I have a little bit of separation, I can let my hands go, man.
Hey, there's not many fights. I think we can include the Tszyu one.
Yeah.
We can include. I think Fury Usyk might decide it, Chris. I think we're gonna have to. We're gonna have to think very carefully about that one. But yeah, there aren't gonna be too many fights toward the end of the year. Jack Catterall, Regis Prograis coming up as well. That's a good one. So I gotta come up with something here. I need a comeback. I need to start swinging. I can't go out like Bivol, man.
Dude, all the knockdowns that we've had together, man. We've been knocked down with we had our little bias with Murtazaliev. I think we let our heart talk in that fight. Yeah, the Matias. I think we didn't. I don't want to say we didn't give Liam Farr enough credit, but maybe we gave too much credit to Matias. Yeah, there's a few fights where we both have tasted the canvas, but man, we get back up, Gio, and we keep fighting, man.
Hold on, I'm gonna keep clapping back at Nerd because he said Bivol was number 2. Bivol was number 2 in 2019. Oh, what are you talking about? Man, he just needs to stop. Somebody help him out. I agree with Big Bro. Beterbiev probably had a better resume than Triple G. I mean, Triple G didn't beat guys like Vosdik, Bivol, Callan Smith. Who else is on there? Just look at his resume, man. This is not hard. I don't think this is that hard. I don't know why people try to argue. But yeah, Nerd, Bivol was not number 1 number 1 or 2 in 2019. So, man, sometimes I don't know what people be talking about. John Pascal. Man, just look it up, man. Don't listen to me. I don't know anything.
But I'm only 20-0. How many knockouts, Gio?
Huh?
You're like I only got a 20-14 record. What was it?
I got like 11 KOs.
You gotta be willpower, dog. Come on now, get the numbers up.
I got what is it? I got 10 losses. You're 21-9. I am 20-10.
Hey, we don't got this insider knowledge, eh? But no, this has been fun, man. It's been fun. It's been fun with these predictions, man.
Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, the undisputed fight might close it out. But real quickly, let's show you guys the poll first, and then we'll get into Tszyu. The poll was, who did you have winning? Almost 700 votes. This was posted a day ago. Beterbiev 45%, Bivol 41%, draw 14%.
Interesting.
Wow.
The draw's pretty high.
Let's see what some of the people were saying. Both of them, they gave all they got, but for me, Beterbiev edged it. I had Bivol winning the fight in the first 3 rounds. Beterbiev took the next 3. Blah, blah, blah. 115, 114 for Beterbiev. Maybe some 10-10 rounds there. Not sure. Had a 7-5 Bivol, but wasn't mad at it. Close fight. Bivol by 3 rounds, somebody says. Yeah, so once again, let me see. 45% Beterbiev, 41% Bivol, draw 14%. So yeah, look, this lines up the rematch, man. This lines up the rematch.
Yeah, no, again, dude, it's the fact that it's 45, 41, 14. It shows how competitive it was. Again, I think it just comes down like what are the judges favor and what kind of personality you have as judges. Again, some people favor the aggression, some people favor, maybe the accuracy. So it's really a pick 'em kind of fight. So again, can't wait to see it, and maybe we get more separation in the rematch. But yeah, definitely both men fought their hearts out, and hopefully we get them both at 100% because I don't want to see even Beterbiev being close to 40. I don't want to see him go down because of an injury. So hopefully we get them at their best, and they know a little bit more about themselves after 12 rounds. So I expect an even better fight. Come 2025.
100%. And let's go ahead. Let's get into that fight. Tszyu this Saturday. I'm actually excited for this one. This is his comeback fight after that loss versus Fundora. Hopefully that forehead, whatever it was, is good. He's fighting Bakram Murtazaliev, 22-0, 16 KOs. Tszyu now 24-1, 17 KOs. Murtazaliev has a real belt at 54, so I'd say this is a good comeback fight for Tszyu.
Yeah, no, definitely. Again, Tszyu, I want to say he's still one of our favorites. He hit a speed bump there in his last fight, where he lost that nobody expected him to have under his belt. But yeah, man, again, this is to get back on winning ways again. Hopefully that fight didn't take any of his aura. Again, he's one of the most exciting fighters, one of the most exciting and interesting narratives, being the son of a legend. So, hopefully he gets back on track and gets back to winning ways, and the confidence hasn't eroded him. Again, he's great for boxing. He's got a great personality, and again, just intriguing for the sport. So hopefully, he does what he needs to do and reminds us why he is Tszyu.
Iceman says, why that fight in Florida during hurricane season? I heard tickets are $1. I was thinking that because yeah, Florida. I don't know how bad that hurricane was, but I mean, hopefully there wasn't too much damage there and everything is fine and they can fight. But yeah, I mean, good comeback fight for Tszyu. Let me see. I think it says the time on here when the show is going to start, 5 p.m. Pacific. Amazon Prime, as I said, not pay-per-view. So if you have Amazon Prime, you can watch it. A form of pay-per-view because obviously you got to pay for Amazon. But I mean, I don't know much about Murtazaliev, to be honest, Chris. So, I don't have too much on this fight. I can go ahead and give my prediction. This will count for our predictions. All right. I think I must be straight up. I don't know if you want to go first or I already have mine in mind.
Man, let me.
All right.
I think I'm gonna say, but let me just I got to box record a little bit. I mean, I got to make an educated decision here, man.
Yeah. So Murtazaliev, 22-0, 16 KOs. I'm not sure if he has any notable names. I'll look it up right now on his record. But I just don't see Tszyu coming back and losing again. I don't think he lost against Fundora. I thought he won the fight. Here's Murtazaliev, 31 years old, Russian. You see his recent fights, Jack Kolkai there, veteran. And I honestly don't recognize any of the other names there. Just keeping it real with you. Where did he win this belt? Did he get emailed? He won the vacant against Jack. Okay. That was in Germany. So
Yeah.
he won a vacant belt. Hmm.
I think we both know who we're gonna pick. I think it's
Yeah.
just it comes down to the way he wins, and that's where I'm trying to pick the right one. I'm gonna say Timofey Konstantinovich due by a decision.
Damn. You stole mine.
I told you to go first, bro.
No,
I told you.
I already had it set. I'm going Timmy Tszyu, same decision. Not sure, man. I'm not. These guys. He's stepping up in levels, man. And I thought he had a good chance of stopping Fondora, just judging from the beginning of that fight. Obviously, that could happen, and then everything changed. I still think he won that fight. I still see him as an undefeated fighter. I think the fight shouldn't even have been allowed to continue. It was a lot of blood. He was leaking a lot of blood, losing a lot of blood in his eyes. He couldn't see. It's like 50. Is that like that 50 Cent line? Blood in my eye, dog, and I can't see. For 10 rounds. For 10 rounds. So I don't know how they allowed this fight to continue. I still think he pulled it off, but I think in this one he comes back. I think he gets a decision. Wouldn't be surprised at the stoppage. Big Bro says late stoppage for Timmy. But I think he might take his time here. I think he might take his time. Could be wrong, but I'm going Timmy by decision.
Yeah, and I would have said
I
a knock, but I thought you were gonna say, so I was trying to pick something different.
should switch it up now. I need to make a comeback here.
You need some knockouts, bro. You need that confidence booster.
Man, you know what? Can I switch it up? Is that okay with you?
That's fine. We'll allow it.
I mean, I'm already down. I'm already down by a lot. Look, I got 11 KOs. You got 14.
Some people want power, It's just it's God given.
Look, you're either gonna extend the lead or I'm gonna get one back, and I'm fine with that. So I'll just go Timmy KO just to make it more interesting.
All right, I'll pick with decision, but I can see him getting a knockout. But I'm gonna give this guy that we don't know, a little respect. Man. Just because we don't know his name doesn't mean he's not respectable. So I'll give him a little bit of respect. But Tim Tszyu, man, I'm hoping he comes back, man. I wouldn't be mad if he gets a knockout. I want to see him get back to that aura, that Tim Tszyu that we're used to seeing. And I agree that was a bit of an unfair kind of match when it comes to that blood trickling down his face. If I was his management team, I would have stopped that fight. But I'm pretty sure that Tim was like, "No, I want to keep going. I'm a warrior." We hear that from fighters time and time again, and sometimes you just gotta be like, "Hey, man, we're gonna fight another day. Like, we still get paid. Let's go spend this money, and we'll rematch this cat when we heal up." So, it is what it is. Can we come back?
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm actually excited for this one. I want to see how Tim Tszyu returns. It's on Amazon Prime. Fundora did not seem interested in a rematch. They're talking about Crawford. They're talking about Spence. But even you interviewed him not long after that fight, and he seemed a little uninterested, right? I don't think so much because he didn't want to give him a rematch. I think he wanted the big paydays against Spence or Crawford. I don't know. You can give me your take. You talked to him in person.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much what it was. He's like, it's a business at the end of the day, and we have to be smart. And I think he was echoing the sentiments of his manager, Tasana Salapat, and it's let's go after the big payday, the life changing money, and it makes sense for him to go after somebody like Errol Spence, who damaged goods, in my opinion, than to go and go back to the Lions Den and the Tszyu. So yeah, it makes sense. Eventually, I think they will fight. That's one of those fights where Tszyu is going to want to run it back, and I think Sebastian is a warrior in his own right, and he's going to want to, he's a gentleman too. He's probably going to want to give him that rematch. They're both just like these two fighters this past weekend. They're very respectable and humble, and those kinds of guys. So it doesn't make sense right now for him to fight Tszyu, but aerospace junior that can bring in millions, makes sense.
Yeah, and Left Hook says the cut actually happened in the second. He says they didn't stop it because it happened after the third. So if it happened in the second round, I think they should have stopped it. He would have been undefeated right now. I'm sure they would have got the rematch. He would have been champion right now, in my opinion, Tszyu. But hey, now he has another opportunity here. And Fundora, they're saying that he's gonna fight Spence now, right? Those are the strong rumors right now, and that Crawford might, the Crawford will get the winner. But we'll see. I think things change all the time, it seems like. So we'll see what happens with that. All we know is Tszyu will be fighting in Florida. He's not fighting now in Australia or in Vegas, Florida. I always wonder how they come up with these destinations, Chris. Maybe they get like a discount in certain cities on certain weekends. Maybe hurricane season, let's go to Florida. We get a big discount. I don't know how it works, but yeah, that's interesting to me.
I have no idea what to be funny in Florida. I had tickets to the Matias Leon Power fight, Gio, and lo and behold, my plane gets canceled because of some stuff going on in Florida. Just because you have to make a stop in Florida to get to Puerto Rico, man. So Florida is ruining it for everybody. I don't know if
Man, I'm getting tired of the comment section, Chris. I ain't gonna lie. These ones don't know how to fact check. But anyway, man, I don't like when people argue wrong things. It's crazy. Hey, but y'all can whatever make shit up if y'all want. But yeah, no, it's gonna be interesting, man. Look, I'm trying to make a comeback here. We both going with Tszyu, so no surprise there. Let's go ahead and look what else we got coming up. What other interesting fights we got on the schedule? Let's see. Like I said, that Jack Catterall, October 26th, or right after this U fight, we get that one. Regis Prograis, Manchester, England, DAZN. Conceição Oshaki Foster, that's a rematch. That can be an interesting one there. Keyshawn Davis against Gustavo Lemos, Norfolk, Virginia. Top rank. Usually they try to stack those on their cards up. Jaron Ennis, November 9th. The Mike Tyson one. El Zurdo Ramirez, November 16th. That's going to be a good one right there. They're also going to have Barboza and Ramirez on that one as well. December, Navarrete Valdez. That one was recently announced too. Leomparo versus Richardson Hitchens. I'm sorry, Richardson. Yeah, Richardson Hitchens, December 7th. Tank Davis against the almighty Lamont Roach, Chris, December 14th. Can't wait. What a great fight. Of course, the Usyk against Fury one. And then December 24th, they're saying Inoue versus Goodman. So, hey, there's going to be some good action, man. There's going to be some good action here.
Is this the? Oh no, I was about to say, is this the third time Tank fights this year? But no, it's the second, right? I don't know. Either way, these guys are being a little bit more active, man. It's almost like they're trying to try out for the Turkey sweepstakes, man. I don't know. Seeing these names pop up more and more this year, man. So that's a good sign for boxing, man. Again, I feel like we're getting away from that twice a year, once a year kind of fights. And again, it's these guys trying to put their name back out there, and trying to cash in on the Turkey time.
Rivelin? I don't know how to say that name. Benavides versus Morel is a good fight. It's still on, right, Chris? It's still on.
Sorry. We haven't heard anything different, man.
Yeah.
If that fight gets canceled, I'm gonna be like, man, they got us, man. They did that for the clout. Got me. But it looks like it's still going through, so we'll see.
Yeah. Hey, name a date and a place, man. ASAP, please. All right. Fulton versus Figueroa rematch. That's confirmed. Yeah, that's on is that on the Tank fight I think that's on the Tank fight. That's a good one too. So the first one, I thought Figueroa pulled it off. Very, very close fight. And then Fulton not looking good in his last fight, getting dropped there at the end. Obviously, he took that loss to Inoue, got dismantled in that one. So that's a good fight. There's some good fights to end the year, Chris. So man, I'm still looking to make a comeback here. We got a good 10 fights still left. So man, things are gonna get interesting.
Yeah, that Folsom for Goroa, that one, I don't know. You can depends what guy comes in more better prepared. That one's gonna be a good one. That one might get you back in, man. Depending on what we vote on. But there's still a few matches. There's still a few matches. You're down on the cards, but hey, maybe you got to go for the knockout, Gio.
Yeah, going back to Timmy, Big Bro says, if I was Tim, I would have fired my corner though for not looking out for me. Sometimes you got to save the fighter from themselves, man. Of course, Tim wasn't gonna be like, nah, stop it. Let's just go home.
Yeah,
he's already there. He did the training camp. He's in the fight. I'm sure he thought he could still pull it off. I thought he still pulled it off, but yeah, I think the corner, the ref, the doctor, somebody should have used a little bit more of logic, man. That was crazy when we spoke to, or we didn't speak to him, but when Stitch Duran posted a video after the fight, he said, man, that's one of the worst places to get a cut because you're not stopping that. That blood is just gonna flow. It's gonna be in the fighter's eyes all fight long. So yeah, that was wild. That was one of the worst cuts. Who was the other one? Was it Badu Jack, right? Where he had that one on his forehead? That one was pretty bad too.
Yeah. Man, imagine if Stitch was on the opposite corner, he would have been like, you guys gotta stop that fight, man. Let me go over there and do your job. But dude, that's the thing. If I'm one of those fighters and I'll be like, hey, there's some things I can't see on camera. You guys have to say it for me, man. Like we could have been rolling up the dough, man. Like there's certain things that I cannot say on camera and need you guys to do it.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Or carry a mirror next time or something. Like show them what it looks like so at least they have an idea. They probably told them it was fine, huh? They probably told Badu and Timmy like, it's just a little scratch.
Scratch it, man. Throw some dirt on it, comes out.
All right. Well, that's all I have. That's all I have for now. Let's see what else comes from, that Beterbiev Bivol aftermath. Turkey said he wanted a rematch. And yeah, we got Halloween coming up too, Chris. So I can't wait for that. That should be that should be interesting.
We got some surprises. We got some something cooking for you guys. Every Halloween we try to have fun with it. We try to, do some things to line up the holiday spirit. But yeah, we got some ideas. Yeah, and again, Gio, just to recap after this fight, man, Bivol, Beterbiev, I think they showed a lot of respect in this fight. I think Bivol now knows the power, and I think if there's a rematch, I see there being more action. I think Bivol will have to take more risks, even though that there's a chance that he might get caught in between. I think he needs to take a risk again. He knows that he's not gonna get, the decision by every judge in there. I think he's well aware that a lot of people favor that aggression, so he's gonna have to take some risks. And again, he might have to do something that he hasn't done in a minute, and knock and drop his opponent. So the rematch, I expect it to be more action packed and less of a chess match.
Yeah, and did you say who you would favor? I think I said 50-50 for me.
For the rematch?
Yeah, for the rematch.
In the rematch, I think I would have to favor. That's tough. It depends. It really depends on Beterbiev's injuries and his age. If they wait too long, maybe he gets injured in training. But then I don't know. It really depends on what kind of Beterbiev comes in, because a year passes, if he fully healed, and even though he's older, but he's 100%, we can see him hurting a Bivol. So yeah, again, it comes down to confidence and how they appear. But I see it being close though, for sure.
Yeah, I think if Bivol is able to to adapt, to change a few things. I think with Beterbiev getting older, he might be able to outbox him, but yeah, it's just gonna be interesting if the fight does happen, when it happens, and I just hope they get a bigger bag, Chris, because they deserve it,
Yeah.
both of them.
Yeah. Again, this match reminds me of Canelo Triple D1, where it was very close, and then the second one, competitive still, but not as close as the first. And then obviously we saw the third one when years passed, and there was just a disparity in the levels at that point. So I still see the second one being competitive, but the longer it takes, of course, it's gonna favor Bivol.
Yeah, but look, Turkey, make it happen. Big Bro says Turkey and Eddie scream robbery like casuals. He says, yeah, Eddie, man. Sometimes I agree with him, but I think this time he went a little overboard. He said, "I'm disgusted that Bivol is not undisputed right now. Big robbery, blah 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 blah." Hey, just make it happen again. I hope they do. I hope they do.
Yeah, honestly, if you want to make some money, you know that Eddie Hearns is like 0-14 right now on paper. So there's no better asterisk to go. Oh man, it's been a tough year for Eddie, man. Let's just leave it at that.
When was the last time Eddie Hearns won a fight, man? Sorry, Eddie. Sorry. We like Eddie, but
That's homework for the chat, man. When's the last time Eddie won a major fight, man? I'd love to know, man. But yeah, man, that again, just to conclude, man, shout out to Beterbiev again on paper. Even though some people feel like he didn't win, on paper he won, and he did enough to convince 2 out of the 3 judges. So congratulations to the new undisputed champ at 175.
I heard Frank Warren also said it was a robbery. Is that true? SMH says Big Bro. I don't know. He was holding hands with Turkey, so that might be true. I don't know. Did you see that video, Chris?
Yeah, no, again, dude.
They interlocked
honestly,
fingers and everything.
Yeah, again, the good thing about this one, if people want to scream robbery, yeah, guess what? It's on YouTube. You guys can watch it again. You could, grade it round by round, see who you favorite, turn the sound off, turn it up loud, whatever you want. It's there. We don't get these kinds of things. Normally it takes like a year for somebody to upload a fight that was on pay-per-view. You know what? It's already there. So shout out to Turkey. Anybody that wants to judge it can judge it. And on the next podcast, you guys can tell us what you guys saw.
Yeah. I watched it again today. I wanted to be fresh on my mind. A lot of people argue when they watch the fight one time, so we got to watch it at least twice. And then, that's why I'm not mad at your, at your take, because I know you watched it again too. Last year, next week he'll win for sure. He promotes both, right? He promotes both Catterall and imagine they tie. Oh man,
Eddie stays losing.
they just gotta leave Matchroom if that ends in a draw, man. But last one. Did you care at all about Eubank Jr. and then Conor Ben? They're trying to sell that fight. Eubank Jr. won. I didn't get to watch it. I think I saw some clips, but leading up like that whole week, they were trying to build up that Conor Ben fight.
I don't care too much for Chris Eubank Jr. to be honest, but I like the trash talking. I feel like they're both at that point where Chris Eubank, I think he's past his prime, and Conor Ben is like below his prime in a sense. So it can be for an intriguing, matchup style wise, but and fighting prowess wise, not really, but trash talking, I liked it. It was entertaining. Them just saying back and forth. I think Neymar was there, so man, if it's entertaining, I'll watch for the entertainment value.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure they'll put it on one of the big undercards if it happens. That fight, it should. I think it'll be cool just because their fathers fought. So to have both of the sons fight, I think it would be pretty cool. Nobody but people across the pond cares about that, says Big Bro. Yeah, I agree, but it could be a good undercard fight. I'm not mad at that. Who do you dislike more, Conor Ben or Eubank Jr.? Or do you dislike them at all? I don't think they're very likable, either guy.
They're not very likable for me, at least. I mean, again, they're entertaining. I just like Conor Bennett. He's talented. He's got the name to mix him up with the other big names, but he hasn't done it. So I don't know. But man, as long as you put on a show for the fans, make it entertaining, like pre-fight, press conference, you make it exciting. I'm for it.
Nah, Connor Ben is actually a good Spanish speaker. You ever hear him speaking Spanish? Look up his videos. He's entertaining in Spanish. But yeah, I don't really care about either. But just thought it was worth mentioning. But yeah, that's all we got for this week, mates. Thank you guys for keeping the chat lit. Big Bro says they're gonna try to make a pay-per-view watch. Definitely for the UK people, man. I don't know, man.
Conor Ben with the Spanish out there looking like the fourth Vargas brother, man. That was funny. So again, as long as they're entertaining us, man, I'm for it.
It's true. Shout out to Turkey though, keeping those PPV prices low though. We appreciate that. But yeah, man, that's all we got. Next week, we'll be breaking down Jack Catterall, Regis Prograis. Obviously, this weekend we got some action. Timmy Tszyu. So yeah, we'll be back. We still have a lot in October, and of course the last few months of the year. We got a lot of action too. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for keeping that chat lit. Shout out to all you guys who will be watching the replay. And shout out to Arthur Beterbiev, who I'm sure is watching right now. Maybe in Canada, maybe in Russia. But yeah, big ups to you, man. Undisputed.
Again, guys, just thank you guys for pouring in and sticking with us the whole way through. Again, only true fans were watching this Beterbiev Bivol fight, and again, it did not disappoint. Shout out to Beterbiev for being undisputed champ. Can't wait for that rematch, and Bivol classy in taking that loss.
Yeah, it was great boxing by both men. It was great boxing. Yeah. So, it sounds corny, but we win. The fans, the fans win, and both men got paid. And I don't think the X is taking 50%. So it's all good in the hood, man. It's all good for Bivol too. All right, it's a wrap. Thank you, mates.
Shout out, Turkey.
We'll be back soon. His Excellency, get it right. His Excellency, Turkey.
Excellent. Let's go.
We're back on the train, Chris. We're back on the train. Back on the bandwagon. Let's go, mates.
Mates.
Hola amigos, soy Juan Francisco Gallo Estrada. Quiero mandar un saludo para mis amigos de Contra las Cuerdas. Échenle muchas ganas. Un abrazo, muchas bendiciones.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. You know what mine is? Let's box, bitches. It's almost fight night.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. Thank you for the support. Keep doing your thing. You're doing a great job. So thank you and best wishes.
Against the Ropes. Huge shout out to Against the Ropes. Against the Ropes.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. Thank you guys for the interview, and hope to see you guys soon.
Against the Ropes, always doing the right thing.
Shout out to Against the Ropes, man. I appreciate you guys for having me, taking the time on y'all day.
Against the Ropes, #1.
Freddie Roach.
Thank you very much.